Hi guys, welcome back. I'm here for another installment in my Chris Watts series of videos. Just the videos about the case, videos about things that are happening in the news right now regarding the case and the family and just everything involving it. And I know that there's a lot of different stories that are coming out here right now, and I know that we all have a lot of different opinions, so I really hope that you utilize the comment section and leave your comments below just about how you think about what we're talking about in this stream today, in this video today. I am filming it right now using StreamYards in kind of like the live broadcast way. I will have some live broadcasts, but sometimes when I want to not read the side chat and just get through them kind of quickly because I have something on my mind, I'll do it this way, and it's a really easy way, very, very simple and very lazy way to make a video and get it uploaded real quick. Right now, I think I'm going to entitle this video, like Dear Cindy Watts, or in regard to Cindy Watts, or something of that nature. You know, there's been so much talk in this case regarding the families of both Christopher Watts and Shanann Watts. And I found, by and large, most of the things that I could find on Christopher Watts's family are a lot of things that are spun towards the negative. And if you were something or somebody who didn't really follow the story very closely, but just happened upon some videos you saw on YouTube regarding that, you would really have to shake your head and wonder where we're living. This is a very, very innocent family who, in my opinion, really has been demonized by the public, by a mob mentality. And I know from just reading comments and hearing other content creators here on YouTube that if you even say anything like that, suddenly you are, pro Chris Watts, pro family annihilation. You are just evil. You just, so I think a lot of people who may feel this way, not I think, I know, just gut instinct know that a lot of people who feel the way that I feel are shut up because they don't want to be labeled that. They don't want to be harassed and bullied. And here's my thoughts on the case. And a lot of times I get feelings towards specific instances, like probably a lot of people do, if they can relate to something in that particular instance to their own personal life struggles or personal life stories. And in this, in Cindy Watts, in Chris's mother, I see a lot of my mother. Not that Cindy Watts is very much older than me, so mostly be like an older sister, but just in the way that, very much in the way when I saw her give the interview and her comments. And if this were, God forbid, to have happened to my mother, I could see my mother be labeled the same thing that Cindy Label has been labeled by so many people out there. And that's what's heartbreaking. You know, whether you like her or whether you don't, you have to say that she's an innocent victim. She is an innocent victim. She has done absolutely nothing but have an opinion, and she's allowed that opinion. And it seems like so many people are so quick to put themselves in the Ruchek's shoes, which is fine, which is a great, aspect to have about you. We want to have empathy. I mean, it's so dastardly. You can't wrap your hands around your head. You can't wrap your hands around it. But it's something that, we can all feel like, if this happened to us, would we even want to get up the next morning? But in the case of Cindy Watts, I feel like, if she would have come out and just not been her true self, not said how she truly felt, she would have gotten a lot more sympathy. But I couldn't see my mother doing that. And so then in turn, I couldn't see and wouldn't want to see another victim have to, walk a line and say what other people would want them to say just to be able to get some support from the public. It should just be, we should be able to have compassion and sympathy for her and not attack her. I don't understand these attacks. It's like you don't understand what she is going through and why she would be angry at something, why she would question something, why she feels the way that she does. I guess I'll start out like this. My mother, I am the youngest of five children. I have four older brothers that were very much adored and idolized by my mother. They could really do no wrong. And my mother was a very good mother. My mother has passed away, and my brothers, all just loved my mother. And she had, there was one daughter in law that she didn't really have issues with. Now, my mother, mind you, when she passed away, had the whole town shut down for her funeral, that she was just loved by everybody. And I happened to be the only daughter, and I actually happened to agree with most of her thoughts regarding the people, the women that my brothers married. All of the marriages that she's talking about, or that we had problems with, didn't work out either, or prior girlfriends. You can't put your head on somebody else's shoulder, but you love your brothers, so you just want them to make the right decision. And maybe that comes to loving somebody. It probably does, loving somebody too much, but that's what the case is. So when I hear that Cindy Watts had a problem with Shanann, I could really relate to that. My mother was the same way. My sister-in-laws, none of them were murdered. So, it's not even something that is an issue, right? It didn't get brought up as an issue. She was allowed to have her feelings. She never treated them, they had their little spats every now and again, but mostly my mom did like Cindy Watts did, and we lived separate states away or just didn't see each other that much. And there wasn't fighting. We could still get together and have a family holiday. There wasn't things like that going on. But I happen to agree with my mom. How I was raised, when my father came home, it was, everything stopped because the father was out working for the day, and you would run to the door and it would be like, daddy, daddy. And in fact, that was the one thing my dad put as far as one of his really great memories in life is, me doing that when he got home. But it seems like the sister-in-laws that we had a problem with were ones that would just, it was all about them, and they would keep on going with what they were doing, and they didn't teach their children to do that. That's one small, tiny, petty example. Now, I know that it's improper to many people to even say that, given the circumstances of what happened. However, it's a truthful statement. If one of my sister-in-laws happened to have gotten murdered, it wouldn't change us feeling that way. It wouldn't change us feeling that my mother didn't like it, that my brothers all were the ones that did the majority of the work around the house. They just did it. And they did take care of the children too. I don't know if it was something, probably because we had four that were like that were raised that way. They weren't women abusers at all. They are ones that really doted on their wives and treated them very well, and were easier, I guess, to get walked on if you had a very strong woman that would come along. Now, that's just me being real right here. That's not bashing Shanann, because I don't know the situation. I'm just saying what I see and what I've heard. Just in what Cindy has said, I can understand the feelings, because I was the sister very close to my mother, and we would be on our conversations during the one time and say, "Oh, did you see whatever did this, or did you hear she did this now?" And it was like that. So it's hard for me to not put my mom in the shoes of Cindy Watts right now and see how I would be feeling. And I think when you're feeling that much grief, because at one point, remember, Cindy Watts felt that Shanann had killed the children. Whether or not the whole world never believed that, that would have gone along with her narrative, and that would have gone along with what she wanted, how she didn't want to see her son. We wouldn't have wanted to see, we couldn't see, I still could not see my brothers in the position of Chris and having done that. I could not see that. So if it's anything in the same, and I'm not saying that it is, and I'm making very big assumptions right now, I know, but this is just one little angle to the story that I understand, or that I see it in a different light, in a different light. I think the more that perhaps Cindy Watts is getting bashed for just having a view, and like I said, even though nobody else believed that Shanann killed those children, at one point she did, or at least she made herself believe that. So at that point, she was probably thinking, why are people mad at me for saying anything when this woman killed my grandchildren? There's a lot involved. And look, I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, or anybody who really has a good, strong grip on my own life right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a woman who's going through life and trying to figure things out as well. All I keep on coming down to, when you break it down to the lowest common denominator, is that Cindy Watts is a victim, and I just don't understand the people who have bashed her, the content creators who have really bashed her. It's so apparent. You cannot get. I just saw a live the other day, and I'm not going to mention names, but it was a content creator female and a content creator male who were sitting together on a panel, and a Ruchek, a family member, the father, came into the side chat, and they felt that was their time right now to start bashing the Watts, like it was going to help anything, like they were going to kiss up and get on a good side and maybe get that good interview with a Ruchek because they bashed the Watts. I don't understand it, and there's not a lot of people. If you speak up against it, you are suddenly, like I said earlier, somebody who supports a family annihilator. No one would do that. I know, and this is very hard to say, but I know if it was somebody in my family that I loved as much as they love their brother, their son, their uncle, their whomever, that I would completely hate the act. I would try everything in my power to not believe the act. Even when I could say to myself, I know it's true, but today, dear Lord, just get me through and let me believe something else. Because when you love somebody, you just can't stop loving them. You just can't stop. And it wasn't as if this person was a drug user. This person was somebody who abused your family. This is a person who, even after it was known that he did this horrific deed, this nightmaric deed, Shanann's family still said they had nothing but love for him. They didn't want him to be killed. They completely don't understand it. And he was an amazing father. I can't imagine for them having those feelings and trying to figure it out. That's why I think so many people right now are looking for other answers, because there's not as if there is some smoking gun. I thought at one point the neighbor that had the tape, I believe his name was Jesse. He had the tape of the Watts's home, the surveillance tape, and he had said that he heard very loud arguing, but there's nothing really that ever became of that. There was never anybody that came around and said, "Yeah, we heard major, huge blowups too. We heard screaming shows too. We heard that." We have heard that, Shanann was a feisty Italian, strong woman and could get loud at sometimes and was very completely loving, loved her children more than anything, loved her life, and was very positive. So she could get that demonstrative and loud, but him, it seems like there is not one thing ever he didn't go out and kill animals. There's not some smoking gun about a hidden life that he has, unless you want to consider the hidden life that he had with seeking a relationship outside of his marriage with Nicole Kessinger. That's the only thing that anybody could see. That's why so much is spent right there. I think there's a lot to this story that we don't know, and I think the story was just rushed along so much because he did fall on the sword. He didn't want to have, I believe, that after he did this, he didn't want to see and have the families have to view the pictures. Can I make sense of that in my head? The same person who was able to do that didn't want to have anybody see the pictures, so they rushed it along, didn't want to have the prosecutors or the defense team go through a long trial because he knew he was guilty, so he rushed it along and just didn't even get a lawyer and signed away any rights and just rushed the whole thing. Can I make sense of that in my head right now? No, I can't. That's what I think so many people, usually you see so many, instances where these cases come up, and then you see smoking guns come out later on. Oh, this hidden life of drugs that he had, or this hidden life of seeing, hookers and paying them and beating them up because he had these crazy fantasies, or a secret life of anything else. We haven't seen that. So what happened that night? What happened in those early morning hours in August in 2018 in Colorado? What happened? I think it's great that you don't waste taxpayer money. You do try to save feelings and not have to have a prolonged trial and have people be put through that. But then you don't have the closure, that mythical word of closure that not a lot of people actually ever see. But you don't have enough answers, I think, to that. So I'm not going to make this very long. I do have a lot more that I want to say on this, but I do want to try to make these videos under, between 15 and 20 minutes, because I know there's a lot of videos out there to watch, and I know a lot of people are very busy people, and you may listen to this in your car on the way to work. You may listen to this while you're working out or any other time, but that's just my little slice of something that I have felt that I have not heard a lot of people say. And it's a very public case. And, I know a lot of people want to stay and protect the victim's family even more. And I so understand that, but we have another victim's family here. Chris's family is a victim. They are a victim. Yes, they have their son that they can go see in prison. They have that. But in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, and I'll probably vacillate on this and change my mind tomorrow because I have gone back and forth on this, but it's worse because he's the demon who did it. He's the demon who did it. You're always going to have this be what's on his tombstone. It's no matter if 99.999% of his life would have been better doing things for other people and always looking out, you're going to have this be what he's known for. And no family wants that for somebody that they love. That must be really horrible. And on the other hand, I can see why hearing any of these words that I just said by Shanann's family would be very hard to hear as well, would be very hard to hear. But I just don't think it's fair that only one side gets the support and the other side doesn't get at least, not even just the support, but at least their side to be said without being called every name in the book. So with that, I'm going to close this one right now. And I have decided I am going to start to tackle the book, the Cadle book, and read parts of it. I think I know if I break it up and don't just read it verbatim and kind of add a little bit of my thoughts or anything else that I have heard from other people, it won't be copyright struck. I think, like I had said before, I may do just a review on the book. I think it's just a nothing burger book. Personally, there's a few instances of getting something new. And yes, she is the one person who has brought forth some words from Chris Watts, but I believe that there's more here to this. And after hearing the text exchange between Cadle and the Watts family, I believe that she did them a big injustice, and I believe that she took advantage of them. I had wondered why they would agree or be okay to talk or reach out or search her out after she didn't get back so quickly. I believe they thought it was going to be more along the side of his testimony, of his religious experience, and more of an editorial book on that, as opposed to something that is like it's turned out right now. And like I had explained before, she never even put copies of the letters in the book. She put no pictures. The book was, if you had a simple program like Grammarly, like most of us have, you would have saved many of those typos and just poor grammar that you have in that was rushed out. But I believe that she rushed it out because she wanted more of the money. The fact that in the correspondence to the Watts, she had said that she was going to help get him another attorney for what, I don't know. I don't believe that he will ever personally ever, nor do I think that he probably should ever see the light of day. But I think that she promised them that. I'm going to do another video on that too, because reading those texts, and she had said now that they can be changed. That wasn't what she said. If that was the truth, that would have been her first reaction. Plenty of days had gone by and she didn't say, those are fake, those are fake, those are fake. It was only after somebody implanted the idea in her head, somewhat similar to the FBI planting the idea in Chris Watts' head that perhaps Shannon did the murders of the children. Then did Cadle change her mind, change her tune, and say that they were faked when she found out that programs like that actually existed. I believe that those videos promising birthday cakes for somebody in prison. What are you going to do? Put a nail file in there? I believe that all of that was kissing up. Kissing up. You got what you wanted. It was far enough along, and you just tossed them aside and you used them and abused them. And if they say anything about that, they're going to get nailed and harassed too. If the same thing happened to the Ruchek family, they would completely be lifted up and supported, which they should be, because I think what Cadle did to the Watts family regarding that is just really horrible. So anyways, with that, I'm going to leave this and post this as it is. And I hope that you understand the nature of which it's meant. It's not meant anything of a slam anywhere along the lines, just my humble opinion on something. And it's so very much public and open that we are all free to publicly and with respect give our opinion on this tragic event. With that, I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later. Come back for next time.